My name is Robbie. On here, I'm Templar Knight. Every person who believes in God but does not go to church has a story why. But whenever two or more gather in God's name, He is there. So this is church. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Tonight we are getting close to the end of our restoration series. Our cars are built. Our cars are functional. They are out and cruising the streets. And it has been an awesome journey. So tonight, we talk about the destination. Tonight we install our GPS. Now, I'm a little old and I'm going to date myself here, but way back in the day, we didn't have GPS, and we had to use these things. They were called maps. It was a big piece of paper you had to fold up and keep in your dashboard. So when you're traveling somewhere, you could look at the signs on the side of the highways and figure out, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to go, and you had to pick your own route. And there is one story that always comes to mind with me when I think of maps, and that is that there is a place in Minnesota where there is a lake called Lake Frickin' Gorge, which is such a great name. I got to see that lake one time. Geek and I were newly married, and we were returning from a family trip in Minnesota and going back to our place where we were going to college. So it wasn't taking the normal routes, because normally I would have just gone home, but we were going back to school. So we had out the map and we were plotting out our course and finding the best way. Now, Geek normally drives because she gets motion sickness, and I'm cool with it because I love being a passenger. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I got the map. That's my job. And I'm looking at the map and I'm following where the roads are, and I need to tell her where the turns are coming up. I missed my turn. I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what was going on, but I missed the turn. And I think she realized that I missed my turn. So I'm looking at the map and I'm finding that we need to go a little bit further. Another 5 miles, we can take a different turn, and that'll get us there. So we go our way, and she's like, weren't we supposed to turn back there? I'm like, no, we had to go this way. Sure enough, it's Minnesota. There's a million lakes there. We had to pass a lake, and I says, yeah, we had to come this way so we could see Lake Frickin' Gorge. Because that was the only excuse I could come up with. It had a funny name, and we had to go see the lake. The map showed me everywhere I could possibly go, and I thought I'd pick the best route. But I missed a turn, so I used the map to find my way back to where I was going. Now, mind you, I knew the destination. I knew where I'd started. I knew it was going to end up. I just had to figure out the journey in between. And sometimes I made little whoops and missed a turn here and there. But I always had my map to get me back on track. The next trip we took, well, I said the last trip we took was 2-3 months ago. Now we have GPS. And I love GPS because it's basically like that same map, only it tells you where to go. Now, we were just driving across the state. It's highway the whole way. So, Geek's driving, I'm sitting there, we're watching the GPS, just not a lot of turning. It's follow the interstate. And as we're getting close, all of a sudden the GPS is saying, hey, take this exit. Go south a half mile, take the service road for 10 miles, then go north a half mile, get back on the interstate. I was a little confused by this because interstate in South Dakota is 80 miles an hour. How is transferring south to a service road where it's going to be 55 an hour, how's that going to be faster? Well, the GPS says there's construction ahead. And I'm still sitting here thinking, that's not the faster route. There's no way that going a half mile south on a service road and then coming back up a half mile, even through construction, no way it can be that bad. It was. We hit that construction and traffic on the highway dropped down to about 20 miles an hour, sometimes almost coming to a complete stop. And we just sat there because some genius made the call. Let's not listen to the GPS. Let's just stay on the highway. I'm going to make that judgment call. It can't be that bad to where it's actually slower. It was. Should listen to the GPS. It knew. It was monitoring traffic and it says, nope, you're going to be a lot faster if you go this way. We didn't listen. But we got back on track. Got to our destination. Got to see the Disarmed play live. And it was awesome. Technology makes our lives a lot easier. Especially when it comes to driving. These GPS maps, I love having a GPS. I use it every day at work to help me find people's houses. In our faith, these cars that we're building, what is our GPS? What is our map? Well, our map is, it's there to help us along our way. We know where we started. We all know where we're trying to get to. So what are the things that are helping us get there? How about the Bible? God's Word in a book, telling you the directions, telling you where to go. Makes perfect sense to me. I mean, how important is it to read? More important than most people think. I will admit, I too have struggled from time to time just to sit down and read. It wasn't until I got back into doing this that I would even look in my Bible. I knew it. I've read it all before. I know the stories. Some of it's really good. Some of it's really boring. But I knew the way. I knew where it was going to lead me. So I kind of passed up on reading a little bit. But now that I'm opening it up a bit more, I'm finding stuff that I didn't remember. It's been a while. I haven't looked at my map in a good time, and I'm learning a lot more. I'm seeing the shortcuts. I'm seeing that I can save 5 minutes if I get south, go to the service road and drive, and then come back up. Just like the maps, they've updated to electronics. It's been a minute since I've actually opened a hard copy of the Bible. But I use a website, because the Bible's on the internet, all over the place. And I use that 3 or 4 times a week now. Finding stories, researching things. You can literally go and type in, what does it say about this? Enter. And it brings up the lists. And then you can go there and you can find it. Technology has made it so much easier to read the Bible, to help us find our way, to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm struggling with. That's where I want to go. How do I get there? Today, I was typing on the computer. I typed in, hey, what's a good verse about relying on God? Lo and behold, it brings up a good 20 verses. And I go through and I read them all. I check out the chapters. And I find the one that fits perfect for tonight. Tonight the Bible verse is Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. And that says, trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try and figure everything out on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do. Everywhere you go, He is the one who will keep you on track. Don't assume that you know it all. Run to God. Run from evil. Now tell me that does not fit in a lesson about maps and GPS. Everywhere you go, He's the one who will keep you on track. It was the online Bible that helped me find that. And that is such a great verse. Trusting God from the bottom of your heart, knowing that you don't know everything. And a common theme with this entire series, listen for God's voice in everything you do. Man, there's some good stuff in the book of Proverbs. And this one, I mean, this verse just, it fell in my lap today. It was just like, all right, need to find a good Bible verse. We're talking about maps and traveling and going on a trip and destinations and trusting God. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. It fits perfect. And I found it in the Bible because I needed guidance. When I was planning this lesson, I was sitting here at the stoplight. I knew where I wanted to go, but I wasn't quite sure how to get there. So I opened my Bible. I opened the tab for my Bible, double-clicked on the window, and found this verse. And God's guided me where to go, like He always does. Because when I'm looking for the signs of where He's trying to lead me, I find Him everywhere. So how do we find these signs? How do you know what you're looking for? I had a conversation with someone. They're like, Robbie, God doesn't talk to me like He talks to you. No matter what I do, I don't hear anything. I don't feel anything. Nothing is clear to me. I told him, God's talking to you all the time. It's just a matter of not if you're listening. Really, if you want God to talk to you, talk to Him. We've got the Bible. We've got prayer. I've been lost before. I've been driving and stuck and not knowing where I was, and my GPS wasn't helping me. And I've had to call someone and say, yeah, I don't know how to get where I'm going. Can you help? Can you give me direction? I've been lost in life, and I've had to call someone and ask for help. I've had to say, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. Can you point me in the right way? And if I wasn't picking up the signs from Him because the windows were too fogged up, I could contact someone who I knew that God could use to tell me the way. I could contact a pastor. I could contact a friend. There's plenty of people in life that are more than willing to help you find your way. Even complete strangers. You ever pull up beside someone's house? Excuse me, do you know how to find this street? Yeah, you go down, take a left, then you take a right, go 4 blocks, take another left. You'll find it. Thanks. I've asked strangers to help guide me on my way. I've asked friends to help guide me on my way. We need to be willing to accept guidance. God gives us so many ways to show us where He wants us to go, if we're just willing to accept it. I met a little kid this week. I was at work. I fix heating and air conditioning when I'm not behind the computer. And I show up at this house, and there's this little kid, somewhere between 8 and 10, sitting at the table, got his piggy bank there, and he's counting his money. Because he wants some new toy. He doesn't know if he has enough for it yet. Now I'm coming into the tail end of this conversation between him and his mom, but from what I figure out, he doesn't have enough money, and he doesn't make enough allowance to get his toy anytime soon. I've got a soft spot for little people, so I look at the mom, and I look at the kid, and I says, well, if you want, you can work with me, and I'll pay you. I'll hire you for today. And he looks at his mom, and he looks at me, and he says, what do I have to do? And I'm like, you can help me find the right tools in the tool bag. Okay. So this little kid follows me downstairs to the mech room, and Mom's close behind because obviously you don't let your kid go off with a grown man to a basement. Makes sense. And she stands in the back and she's watching. And I open up my tool bag and I open up the furnace and okay, I need the green handled screwdriver. Can you find that one? And he looks through the tools. This one? Yep, that's the one. And I take the screwdriver and I do what I gotta do. Now I need the orange nut driver. Okay. And he's sorting everything by color because that's how I'm telling him what tools I need. And he's doing his best to help. And I'm telling him what I'm doing. And we get out the part that's broken and it just needs to be polished up a little bit. So he takes the sandpaper and he polishes it up all nice and good. And he just scrubs away at that little metal rod and gets it all cleaned up and good to go. And then I put it back in and he's handing me the tools. Well, every time I stop talking, what now? Well, now I gotta wait. I gotta see if this works. Okay. Did it work? Well, it hasn't tried yet. Let's just give it a second. Okay. What now? Alright, so now it's doing this, and now we gotta wait and see if this happens. Okay. Do you need this tool? Nope, I don't need that one. Okay. And this little kid would not stop asking me questions. It was adorable and annoying all at the same time. But he was so excited to be working for me and to be helping to earn some money for his toy. What now? What now? What now? We fixed the furnace. And we got done. And he said, so how much money do I make? And I looked at him and says, how much did you need? And he says, I need $10 more. So I pull out a $20 bill. And he's just blown away by this. Because he knows what a 20 is. And he knows it's much more than a 10. And he says, a 20? I didn't need a 20. I just need a 10. And I tell him, well, there's 3 good things that you can do with your money. Every time you get some money, you should save some of it, you should spend some of it, and you should give some away to somebody who needs it. So he says, so I can spend $10 of it and buy my toy. I can give $5 of it for my mom to save. But who do I give the other $5 to? And I told him about someone who I've been giving money to. I say, I know a little girl who just lost her mommy. And so I've been giving money to her dad so that he can help make her life better. So that he can make a home for her. And this little kid, he looks at the dollar, that 20 I put in his hands. He says, she lost her mom? I don't need this. My toy can wait. And he hands me back the 20. And he says, can you give this to that little girl for me? Because kids do the craziest things sometimes. So I'm in tears in this basement. And the mom's in tears. And this little kid is just so somber and sitting there and thinking. Because he's got a mom. And toys can wait. So the furnace is fixed. I go out to the vehicle, write up the ticket, and I give the mom back the $20. And I say, give this to your son when he deserves it. Because the 20 I gave him is going to be donated to this little girl. And so I did. The little kid had such a big heart. It just... The little kid was there to help me. And although he helped me fix the furnace, he helped me so much more. Not because of how big his heart was, that he was willing at that age to give up his new toy. Because of the part of the story that I needed to hear the most. What now? What do I do now? Hey, what do I do now? Every time there was 5 seconds of silence, that little kid was looking at me. What do we do now? What do we do now? How about now? What's next? And I was inspired by this little kid. Because I want to pursue my faith like that. I want to be looking to the Lord and saying, what do you want me to do now? And when he doesn't reply, now what do you want me to do? Lord, what next? What now? Okay, this? Now what? What do you want me to do next? I want to be constantly asking the Lord, what's next? What do I do now? Where do you want me to go? And you know how God tells me? The Bible. He tells me in prayer. He tells me through people who care about me. He is always telling me where to go and what to do next. If I'm just willing to listen. Sometimes I just need to step back and say, Lord, I haven't heard from you in 5 seconds. What do you want me to do now?